Hurricane Beryl is strengthening as it nears the coastline of Texas. I'm Mike Nasa with continuing video update coverage of this landfalling American hurricane. It's 2 a.m. Eastern Time, 1 a.m. Central Time, but I wanted to give you guys an update if you're tuning in as Beryl has become a hurricane once again. The Air Force recon's flying out there. They're finding very strong winds, especially at flight level, upwards of almost 100 miles per hour, and the winds are increasing now as a solid Category 1 hurricane, strengthening upon landfall. As the convection there increases right around the center, it should strengthen as it moves in to the Texas coastline. Here's the latest from the National Hurricane Center, hot off the presses as of 1 a.m. Central, 2 a.m. Eastern Monday morning. Beryl strengthening as the center approaches the middle Texas coast, conditions deteriorating, is at 28.2 north, 95.9 west, and that puts it only about 30 miles south-southeast of Matagorda, Texas, or about 95 miles east-northeast of Corpus Christi. Winds are up to 80 miles per hour. When I spoke to you around 11 p.m., it was a tropical storm of 70 miles an hour. And so it's strengthening, and it is now a solid hurricane of Category 1 strength, moving north-northwest at 10 miles per hour, and the pressure 984 millibars. We still have storm surge warnings out from Mesquite Bay to Sabine Pass, including Matagorda Bay and Galveston Bay, and a hurricane warning from Mesquite Bay northward to Port Boulevard. Now, we think that the hurricane will make landfall in the next few hours, but the conditions are really deteriorating, and the tropical storm winds extend out to 115 miles from the center, so those are now impacting Texas. There was a weather flow station at Matagorda which reported sustained winds almost to 50 and a wind gust to hurricane force, almost to hurricane force, 69 miles an hour, just perched below hurricane force. So it looks like the hurricane winds are about to start impacting areas there near Matagorda in Texas. There's another look at the wind field. Again, the hurricane winds are right in that area I just drew, and so that's going to push on shore. And when a hurricane is strengthening like Beryl is upon landfall, those winds are pushing and bursting down more than a hurricane that would be steady state or even weakening. There's the radar out of, this is Houston's radar, and the center, the eye of the hurricane, where did they say it was at the hurricane center? 28.2, 95.9. 28.2, 95.9. So 28.2, 95.9 is right about in here, is where the eye of the hurricane is centered. And it's still a little lopsided. A lot of the bad weather's on the right front quadrant, and that happens a lot in hurricanes. The worst winds are right in this area here, and that's just pounding the coastline there of Texas. In fact, this is where the center of the hurricane is right now as of 2 a.m. Eastern, 1 a.m. Central. Very close there to the barrier islands of Matagorda Island there. So it looks like Matagorda and Sargent are just getting hammered. I've seen some live streams out where storm chasers are seeing surge come up in areas there near Sargent, Texas. Freeport, you're getting hammered. Lake Jackson, you're getting hammered. Brazoria. It's all going to be going downhill from here with the landfall of this hurricane, to say nothing of areas on the western edge of the hurricane. Seadrift, Port O'Connor, Indianola, Port Lavaca. You guys will have strong winds and water level rises. Here is a tide gauge from NOAA tide gauges here, Matagorda Bay entrance channel, and I'm going to update this here, see if we get some new information. Look at these winds spiking. They're getting higher and higher, and the barometric pressure is dropping. In fact, it is down all the way to 993 millibars. So the pressure's falling in Matagorda Bay as the eye of the hurricane approaches. We also have that water rise I talked about. That is a big hazard. We do have a storm surge warning for that entire stretch of coastline, including Galveston Bay. And there's potential for moderate to major flooding along local beaches, 4 to 7 feet of inundation on those beaches. Water may reach low-lying roadways. Some beach access will be impassable. And don't cross any barricades and any flood. Protect your flood-prone properties, but stay away from the water because you're going to have crashing waves on top of that. So these surges, which could be 4 to 7 feet from Port O'Connor and Matagorda Bay all the way up towards Galveston, 4 to 6 feet all the way over to High Island, this stretch of coastline, you're going to have that water rise with the waves crashing on top of it with the landfall of Hurricane Beryl. There's another look at it on water vapor imagery, and again, thank goodness it dealt with the Yucatan Peninsula and some dry air. Otherwise, it could have been a lot stronger than it is now, but still is going to go down as a United States hurricane landfall. And there are some hurricane seasons where no hurricane makes landfall in the United States, let alone one on July 8th in what is predicted to be a very, very busy hurricane season. Again, this has been one heck of a hurricane. Nothing like the Category 4 or 5 it was down in the Caribbean, devastating the Windward Islands and the south coast of Jamaica. Or this is more like what it was in the Yucatan, a high-end Category 1, potentially even a Category 2. If it cranks up just enough, if those flight level winds of 100 miles an hour get down to the surface, we could see it get pretty close to or even hit Category 2 as it comes on shore. I know in July 2003, Hurricane Claudette made landfall in this area near Port O'Connor, Texas, with 90-mile-an-hour winds, and there was a lot of wind damage. So again, this is a very dangerous threat along the coastline there near Sargent, Texas, Matagorda, Freeport, Port Lavaca, this whole region here, as the center, the eye of Hurricane Beryl, reaches its final destination after this long 10-day period of tracking this very rare and historic early season major hurricane. It's not a major hurricane for Texas, but it is one heck of a potent one as it nears landfall there very close to Matagorda Island. I'll be back with more on Beryl. Stay tuned as the hurricane nears its final approach to Texas.